Welcome back, everybody, to the Meet the Bus podcast. I'm your host, Jeffrey Reckes, and we are back with episode 14. I hope you guys all had a great Christmas, a happy holiday season with your families. Hope you guys all had a great new year. We are back with episodes. It has been so long since I've done one of these. At least it feels like it's been so long since I've done one of these. So let's hop right into it. The guest I got on today, very special guest. He was a trumpet player for the Horizon Drum and Bugle Corps in 2016. He was with the Blue Knights from 2017 to 2021. He was my section leader in 2019. Currently a Boise State graduate student. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on Nick Martinez. Welcome on to the podcast, good sir. Glad to have you.
Dude, I cannot tell you how happy I was to be invited to this podcast, truly.
Bro, I was so happy to hear when you reached out being like, yo, I watched this is crazy. I was like, dude, have to have you on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because like you were so crucial in the beginning when I first started auditioning for Blue Knights, because you knew a good friend of mine who I marched with in 2016, Mr. Riley Jerebeck.
Yeah.
Who I haven't seen him also since 2019. It's been such a long time.
He's been doing okay. He's been doing okay. He won his battle against cancer. Don't know if you saw that.
Yes, he did.
So we're very happy about that, but he's still doing trumpet and he's doing pretty good.
Dude, he's killing it. He's absolutely killing it. Every time I see it, I'm just like, damn, dude. He is absolutely killing it, man. So, why don't you tell the people just a little bit about yourself before we hop in?
Born and raised Texan. My mom was honestly the beginning of my musical interest. She was a very good flute player in Minnesota. And then I was like, I want to do band. And the trumpet was my first instrument. So got in. And then pretty much the rest is history. That's
absolutely
love the instrument ever since. I got it tattooed on myself, you know.
Oh yeah, wait, can you like pull up?
Yeah,
can you pull it
up? Yeah.
Oh my god!
It was my 18th birthday present from my parents, and 3.5 hours came out great.
oh my god, that sounds painful.
So yeah.
Let's hop into it, man. So obviously, first questions for all my instrument people out there whenever they come on is just what inspired you or what got you into your instrument?
It was probably the military stuff, because like I come from a long line of like military vets. My great grandpa was in Korea. My grandpa worked on the airplanes. Repaired him up, then became a firefighter and EMT, and then my uncle was a sniper for the Army with Desert Storm and all that. So I was like, it'd be really cool to like, not only would I get to play this awesome stuff, but I kind of get to like honor people who have come before me and stuff like that for this country, and even my own family and stuff like that. And then I found out, I explored more than just like the military stuff. So I found jazz and classical. I'm like, oh, okay,
some good stuff.
I'm kind of digging this instrument.
Oh my god, I can't even imagine the stories from like the whole family. I mean, that just sounds like a long line of like.
Oh yeah, no.
Let me tell you, back in the day.
No, like that's how it was, because like I remember my grandma or my mom telling me how like we did a lineage trace when, I don't know, before my brother and I were born, and like we can trace it all the way back to like George Washington's like friends, like people in his circle. Yeah, I don't know how they came across this information, but I'm like, okay, that's pretty dope. Not gonna lie.
Dude, you're related to one of George Washington's bros. Come on now.
Right? And then on the other side of my family, I got like Native American in me, like some type of Aztec or Mayan. Yeah, dude. Like my dad calls me up, he's like, hey, I just got done from a trip to Mexico. Like, you're probably part Native American. And I'm like, cool.
Oh my god,
the whitest Native American Mexican you'll ever know.
Oh my god, dude, that's hilarious, man. So obviously we're here about drum corps today, here to talk about that. So what kind of got you introduced to the activity?
I was going into my freshman year of high school. We just got this new hotshot band director from Capel, which is a really really wealthy area of the Dallas, Texas area.
Mm-hmm.
And their band, makes 6A All-State almost every year. Their concert band is so good. I remember going in, and the first thing he would show us is a recording of him and the Capel Middle School band playing Bugler's Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And these are middle school kids playing Bugler's Holiday, and they're killing it too. And he turned it into what it is, now, or at
Uh-huh.
least a stepping stone in it. And we were getting ready. It was a state year. We were 6A. We were hungry and wanting to make it to state. So we got a
Yeah.
good show going and all that stuff. And he was like, "Oh yes, this drill writing is from the Blue Devils." Blah 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 blah. I'm like,
Was this in 6th grade?
no, this was in ninth grade. Ninth
Okay,
grade.
good.
Freshman year of high school.
I thought we were still in like 6th
No,
grade.
no,
I'm
no,
like,
no,
damn.
no,
I
no,
know
no, no.
Texas goes hard.
No, they go hard, but not that hard. But yeah, so like freshman year of high school, I'm like, what's the Blue Devils? And
Yeah.
so like SoundCloud was big thing at this time. So I type it into SoundCloud, and they have all of the what? So that was
Blue Devils type
2014.
beats.
Yeah. So they had the entire 2014 catalog, like
Oh, hell
completely
yeah.
illegal, by the way, like as everything is before that time.
We need the
And
Google Drive, dude. We need the Google
right,
Drive back.
right, the Google Drive. so I start listening to all these tracks from the 2014 season, and like it was amazing. Like it blew
Yeah.
my mind, especially like hands down. People may talk about their favorite shows and all that stuff, but my personal opinion, it is Blue Devils Fellini-esque 2014. That
Really?
show is hands down my favorite show ever.
That was the one. That was the one you
That
listened
that
and you
was
were
the
like,
one that
I'm
hooked
in.
me.
Wow.
Like whenever you get goosebumps when you listen to a great horn line or hear anything in music, and it's just like, oh, I really like that. The
Moves
full
you.
14-minute like recording, that's how I felt. It was amazing. And
Mm.
like I got my dad into it too, and he was like, man, I don't know about band. I don't know about band. I think you should have done some football. And then I showed him this, and he's like,
It's
okay,
pretty athletic.
this is pretty cool. And I'm like, damn right it is.
Pretty sick,
and
Rob.
then I was like, man, this is some cool stuff. And then
What was your first live show, by the way? I'm kind of curious
my
about that now. That
my
2014
first
was like
ever
the year
live show.
yeah, that you got to like go see.
The next year it was 2015 San
Mm.
Antonio.
Wow.
God, I made such a fool of myself in the lot. I'm not going to talk about it, but
No, we need
I
the story.
uh,
We
so
need the
like
story.
this is like at a very big point in time whenever like drum corps is the if you know you know type
For
stuff.
sure.
And
Yes.
like and I think the people in drum corps at that time were a little more reserved about drum corps and all that stuff, and it wasn't, blah.
Hmm.
And so I dragged me and my friend Matt. You remember Matt, mellophone player? Yeah.
We're gonna talk about Matt.
Okay, good, good. I love that man. So I drag him and Matt, one of my friends and Matt, out to the San Antonio Regional, and we find the Blue Devils. We find
Hmm.
their lot and their warm up, and we get inside the circle. And like we're listening to them and all that stuff. I'm like, oh, bro, this is so sick. And I turn around and I notice that my friends aren't there anymore. I'm like, where did they go? And so what I do, oh my god, it's so embarrassing. What I do is that I stand up in the middle of the circle, like as they're warming up, because you don't know horn etiquette, you don't know line etiquette. Like if you're brand new into this,
No
especially for that
idea.
point in time, you don't know nothing. And I was like walking around the circle trying to find my friends, and then eventually I just like left the circle. And I was so embarrassed, like I
No
didn't realize what I was
way.
doing until 2017,
Did
where
someone go like, hey,
nope, Nope. No one said anything to me at all.
Oh, dude! As soon
I
as you
was
left, they
so
put the voice
embarrassed,
down. They said,
man.
"What the hell? What is
Oh
that?"
yeah, and the thing was is that Marcy, one of our visual techs in
Yeah,
2019, he marched that year.
yeah,
And
that's
I
right.
and I was about to confess the exact same thing I just said to him, and I'm like, "Do you remember that?" And he's like, "Actually, no. I was on prop crew, so I didn't worry about warm up." And I'm like, "Oh, thank God."
I actually didn't do anything. Never
and so
mind.
and
Dude,
so
that's
that was
incredible.
Yeah, so that was the San Antonio 2015 San Antonio Regional
Hmm.
was my first ever live show and
Yeah.
my only live show. I haven't been to one since.
Oh my god,
I
dude, you
mean,
got to do one.
technically, I did like a local show with the Boise Gems and the Seattle Cascades.
There
They
you
did like
go.
a little show, and I actually saw Dallin there. Do you remember
Oh,
Dallin?
really?
Yeah, he was.
We briefly met, but
Yeah,
I
I
remember at a
can't remember
camp.
if he was in 2019, but he's drum major with Cascades that year, and
Yeah.
I ran into him, and it was like the first time I've done anything drum corps since I've aged out.
Hmm.
So
And what's the whole thing, by the way? Like, I've seen clips that you've posted before about like the whole Boise Gems. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I've never like until you
yeah,
posted anything about it, like I had no idea.
yeah. So like the Boise Gems is obviously a Boise origin drum and bugle corps. I
Hmm.
actually go to school with the drum with the corps director who founded the whole thing. He's a real nice
Oh,
guy. He works hard.
hell yeah.
One year, it was an idea. It literally just started out with an idea. I show up,
Right.
he starts talking to me about it. He's like, "Yeah, I'm putting in the works for it. This is gonna be, what was it? Their second year that I helped out with, or their first year? I think it was
When
their
did they
first year.
start?
I
When did
think
they
they
start?
started like within the past 2 years,
Oh, wow.
easily. Yeah. And
Shoo.
so I think last summer was their first like ever season,
Wow.
and it honestly, I was very surprised at how well the organization was ran, because their Soundsport, I've had experience with Soundsports and them folding.
Yeah,
But
and especially like the to start a new drum corps in this day and age where
oh yeah,
it
oh yeah.
like where the activity's already at a financial like disadvantage and it's trying to recover from
Mhm.
2020 still to say like, hey, we're gonna start this thing up and go for like
Mhm.
that's some
Yeah.
guts right there.
So Austin Moldenhauer, that's the name. Remember the
Hmm.
name. I have a feeling he's going to do some good stuff, because like who he's recruited for the admin staff,
Hmm.
it shows how much that person is dedicated or willing to give the members a safe
Yeah,
and good experience. Because
absolutely.
I wasn't on staff last summer, so
Hmm.
I just helped out with some camps, and the way it was organized and how the paperwork was taken care of, it's something that's very impressive and promising for the future of that drum corps.
Especially at that
And
level too. I think that's
oh
super
yeah,
impressive for it
oh
to be
yeah,
that
yeah,
way.
yeah. And I remember telling Austin at the end of the season, like, I believe more people who have done drum corps from this day and age or in our era, they should be the ones taking positions to better this activity, because like he marched with I'm sorry if I'm speaking for him, but he marched with the Cascades,
Hmm.
and sometimes the experience wasn't always the best as it
Absolutely.
should be to the standard that we have now. But
Yeah.
now that he knows that, he knows what to avoid and how to actually give the members a good experience, because
Hmm.
he's lived through it, And I
Absolutely.
think that's the best thing ever, is to learn,
Yeah.
is to like not forget your experiences during drum corps and then build it for the better. So they're doing great stuff
Yeah.
there. Great stuff.
I think people who come from cores like that and who have been in positions before where they have experienced, and it's kind of funny that you say like where like the conditions we've talked plenty about, like,
Mhm.
obviously I marched Oregon Crusaders from 2016 to 2018. We've had plenty of people on who I marched with during those times talking about just how rough some things got from time to time. And it's funny because I've talked to my family and they were like, you never really talked about it like that whenever that, time period was going on. And it's like, because I literally had no other reference until I got to Blue Knights, that there was a certain way where the activity can be run and where an organization can run that is safe and a good
Mhm.
experience for the members. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think somebody who has been in that environment before, and then not being discouraged by it, but then wanting to get back into it and like change it for the better, like you said. I think that's the best
Yeah.
thing right
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Th-
So
there-
no, go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I'm just saying they're just some good stuff over there.
Yeah.
Um, I hope they can really keep it up. I remember going to our first audition camp.
Mm-hmm.
Our numbers from this point last year are almost tripled in people
Oh my
showing up.
God.
It's
How
been a
many you got for
great thing.
members?
I can't think of off the top of my head, but it's easily like we're reaching 30, 40 people easily. And
Hell
it's our
yeah.
second. Yeah, it's been going great, and I will say for the first year. So this is the tour that they did. They went, what, I think they did something in Washington or
Mm-hmm.
in Northern California, and then they went to Ogden, Utah for that
Nice.
show. And it's like that's crazy because like when I
Yeah.
went, well, I guess I got the same experience, but like when I did my time, I did probably about two other performances, one being like a total of four people because it was a public performance, and then the San Antonio regional.
Right.
And
Which that, home show.
yeah, home show, and that was the end of our season. So we got driven back
Right.
home to my hometown on a bus right after that.
Do you guys for Boise Gems? Do you guys have like socials or something like an Instagram,
Yeah,
a place that people can find the? Because we're just probably gonna put those right on top of the screen
I
at this part just to let the people
believe
know.
I believe it's the Boise Gems,
At the Boise Gems.
Yeah, at the Boise Gems DBC thing. That's our thing. If you see a purple little gem logo, that's us. That's us.
Hell yeah! Wait, oh my God, okay. This is hilarious. Now this is how much I look at Instagram. Okay, so the Boise Gems followed my Meet the Bus Instagram, and I legitimately thought it was like a jewelry company from Boise, and I was like, because here's the thing, I have like my first C partner in drum corps, a good friend of mine I still talk to today, Riley Fitzpatrick. He's been on the podcast before,
Mhm.
but he's from Boise, or yes, I believe so. He's somewhere out there in Idaho. And whenever that happened, I was like, is this one of his buddies? Like, hit me up. I did not look, and I was just like, huh, Boise Gems. That's a pretty good name. I was like, oh wait, they
Yeah,
followed me. Are you guys
yeah.
still
Let the people
taking
know.
like auditions and all of that good stuff?
Oh, yeah.
I
I'm
know
pretty
it's
sure
I
we're still
know
taking auditions.
I know it's January, so I know like a lot of like world class groups are starting to set the line and everything and
Yeah,
all like that. So
yeah.
I just we gotta plug the group,
Yeah.
plug the homies.
I would say that we're on the same track right now. We already have drill, we already have music. Like
Hell
Austin's
yeah,
on it. He's on it. And then we already have most of the horn line set, and
that's awesome.
we're hoping to get a couple more that way we can top it off and give a good show.
Hell yeah. If anyone at home seeing this still needs a place to go, Boise Gems. Let
Boise
them know.
Gems. We've had people from Florida, literally across the country, come and audition for us. So come out.
Do it. So we've talked about Soundsport a little bit already, and
Mhm.
Horizon Drum and Bugle Corps, which you did for your first year of drum corps. That was a Soundsport group.
Mhm.
First off, are they still around? Is that still happening or no?
No,
I've
they
seen.
no, they folded about 4 or 5 years ago. But if I remember correctly, like they did a 2017 season, and then they
Mm-hmm.
didn't field anything for 28, and then came. I think they did like one thing for 29, and then that was it. Sadly,
Damn.
yeah.
Damn.
Good intentions, just run by a person who was not what we thought they were.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, and it's just like why a lot of those like lower tier groups like open class and whatnot don't really make it. But I
Yeah.
do want to talk a little bit about that your time with that group and kind of
Yeah.
just your experience there. So kind of what made you want to do Soundsport as maybe opposed to like an open class group, because you do have some open class groups in that Texas area.
So going back to high school freshman year, we started to hear about a drum corps in a local region that was about 2.5 hours away. So it was a little bit closer to me
Mm-hmm.
than like Genesis or like Crossman or something like that. And so I'm like, that's pretty cool. Their tuition is still, very affordable. And they
Absolutely.
actually, the core director actually, no, not the core director. Can't remember who he was, but he showed up at my school, at my high school, and was like, "Hey, we're doing blah 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 blah. Come out and check it out." And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"Dude, that sounds pretty cool." And that's where I actually met two people that I would march with in the future.
At BK
At
from there?
Yeah, from that Horizon camp, that first Horizon camp.
No
Um,
way.
yeah. So Zach Rogers, you know him,
For
heard of
real?
him? Yeah, no, him
Yeah.
and
So
I.
yeah,
Yeah, we marched together. Like we both started our drum corps career together at Horizon,
bro, that's
and
crazy.
that's how we met each other. And then Sam Natvig, he was
Mm-hmm.
our 2018 soloist. I also met him there at that camp too. And then later he
Wow.
would go on to make Blue Nights for 2016. It was pretty cool.
Wow,
Yeah,
dude. Oh my
it's kind
god.
of a small world.
It's funny how you always just meet people at different auditions and then you end up finding it. Like I ended up like I remember my rookie year, I auditioned with a guy in November and then we both made it back to the callbacks for January. And then we both ended up at the troopers camp in February because we got cut in January. And
Yeah.
then and then we both ended up marching that summer together at Oregon Crusaders. And like I remember when we got to Oregon, we first camp we were ever at Oregon together, we were on the same shuttle. And I remember like to go to the camp. And I was like, bro, Quinn? And he was just like, how is this happening? We just keep getting cut and cut. And he was just like, hey man, we're here now. Like,
I actually met another person that I would meet later on in life through music at a
yeah.
Blue Nights camp in 2017.
Oh my
This
God.
guy named Jalen Brown. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's the current core director of Guardians right now.
Wow.
Either core or tour director, I can't remember. But
Oh my God.
uh, I met him in 2017. I think I just randomly sat at his table and got to know him, and
Yeah.
then I meet him again like 3 years later, 3 or 4 years later, at a master
Yeah.
class my university is holding, and I'm like, dude, what's up, man? And
Oh
then now
my
he's doing
God.
all his stuff with Guardians right
Yeah.
now.
It's a small world, dude.
Yeah,
It really
really
is.
small world.
So with Horizon, what is that experience like? Like Soundsport to maybe let's just say like a normal like open class, world class kind of like experience setup.
Looking back at it, honestly, I would say we had a worse schedule than a world class core. We didn't get an hour for meal breaks at all.
Yeah,
We only got 30 minutes, and then we
like
went
all
back
of
out.
them.
All of them were 30 minutes.
Oh my god!
And I didn't realize it at the time. I was like, man, I guess all drum corps kind of get 30 minutes, because like it's my first experience of drum corps. I didn't know any better at the time.
Right?
And a part of me wants to say they had their reasons, but part of me was kind of like,
Why does it have to be 30 minutes?
yeah. I mean, to be fair, our age was like 16 to 17 max.
Right. Which also
Maybe
doesn't,
18. Yeah.
right.
The very first week of spring training, we had a whole month of spring training, so just like a world class core. And the first week, we didn't have any drill. So usually, first block is visual. So what they did is that the first 3 days, or at least the first 2 days, I was like, okay, we're going to learn how to march and all that fundamentals, techniques, and then we're going to learn drill. That
Mm-hmm.
whole week, we did consistent total 4-hour blocks every single morning of basics. That's all we did for
Damn.
that first week. And
Ugh.
I credit most of my visual ability because of that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you
Like,
probably got really, really good.
oh yeah, no, I got very, very good at visual because like I think both of our members or our visual staff people were from Santa Clara Vanguard,
Mm-hmm.
and
Wow.
you know they run a pretty tight ship over there when it comes to fundamentals. So they were teaching us everything they had, and we got, or
Mm-hmm.
most of us got good at it. and it was pretty interesting. Like it was
That's gotta be
nuts.
monotonous, bro. Like basics
Oh,
for a
it
week.
was. It was.
Oh, like I know you get good, and I know it's gonna help all of you in the future. Ba-da-da-da-da. But like,
Oh yeah.
oh, I would be like, ugh, it's like nails on the chalkboard, dude. It's
Yeah,
like,
no.
oh,
It
get me out of
after
here.
a point in time, I was like, can we just learn drill, please? Like I am.
Let's get to the good part.
Yeah, and then same with the brass staff. They pushed us pretty
Yeah,
hard when it came. Honestly, I would compare it to like a world class drum corps as well because they did.
really.
Yeah, they tried to hold us to the same standard. I mean, a lot of us were on our primary instrument, so most of us knew what we were doing and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And so they could be a little bit more harsh on us when it comes to critiquing. And
yeah,
like we would track for, quite some time. And
yeah.
then circle
Which
drill.
tracking for the people who don't know at home, the tracking,
Tracking
if
is
you
like
if you
it's
don't know,
like small movements going
small
forward as you're doing the same chunk of music over and over and over and
around
over
a
again.
track.
And then the
Yeah.
second, and then yeah, go around the whole track until someone says stop.
See, like I don't understand because like in 2016 we were dead ass doing like 8 to 5 for tracking, and I remember when we got
Mm,
to BK, it was not about that at all. It was just like, no, we're just trying to like put the music with the feet, da da da.
mm,
Like no, in
yeah,
2016, like we lined up in a full block, like 8 to 5 steps,
yeah,
and it's like, no,
yeah.
we're 8 to 5 down this track right now, and it was
Uh,
like
no,
hauling
thank you.
ass.
And
That
so,
is kind of wild though
yeah.
that they like pushed you like a world class drum corps, but
Yeah. Like whenever you're in drum corps, like everyone talks about like having a mindset to get through the summer or having a
yeah.
mindset to learn the show, music and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And they established that mindset where just because we are fewer in numbers and do not have as much money as other corps would, we are still going to hold you to this world class standard because we believe you can do it. And I
Yeah.
believe, and like most of the people that marched that year either went on to, I think you marched with a marimba player named Christian in
17.
2017.
2017.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah, he
did.
was a marimba
Absolutely.
player. Yeah, so
Hmm.
I marched with him at Horizon.
That's
That's where he got his start. Zach, you know his story. He went from Blue Knights all the way to Blue Devils.
to BD. Yeah.
Yep. We had a couple other people go to world class, the next year, and
Yeah.
they held us to that standard. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like, what were the performance opportunities like for that summer, like with you guys?
We actually did a couple of public performances. We did
Uh
one for
huh.
like, 4th of July, basic parade stuff. We did the show that we knew. And
Hmm.
we were in a small town, like Kermit, Texas. This thing was rinky dink small. And it was
Yeah.
hot and it rained, thunderstormed every night.
Absolutely.
But the people loved it there. We were very happy to have their support during that time. So that
Hmm.
gave us the energy to keep on going during spring training.
It gives you
Uh,
some momentum, like seeing some people
Yeah,
come out
yeah,
and see you and support you. It's like, okay, well, this is
hmm,
paying off.
yeah, 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 yeah. After that, spring training's done. We're moving to the next location to my hometown, and we stay there at Matt's church. The church that he went to, we stayed there. They were very nice to let us stay
No
there.
way.
I'm telling you, Hispanic churches, they are some of the nicest people you will ever meet. Like the pastor came out and he was like, anything, my child, anything. And so we stayed there. We rehearsed at our school's facilities, and then we did a
Yeah.
public performance for the community. And not many people turned out because band isn't big in Texas, or as big in my part of Texas.
It's also just hard for public, like if you're not, it's so dumb. If you're
Oh
not
yeah,
like top
oh yeah.
8, you're not gonna get like a
Hmm.
crowd. I remember at OC it was the same way. Like
Oh
3 years,
yeah.
they're like, we're gonna have our public performance today, which was like the staff's excuse to be like, we're gonna have a 4-hour block and you're gonna do the run at the end of it, and like maybe a couple of
Yeah.
the volunteers are gonna come out.
Yeah. So that happened. It went terribly. It was
Yeah.
so bad. It was so bad. Like the
Oh
sun was in
no.
everyone's eyes. Like all of us were nervous and everything. Like we
Oh
had a
yeah.
whole wait before we could even go to the field, and we were the only people there. It was this whole thing. And
Oh yeah.
then can't remember what show it was after that, but our
Hmm.
first DCI show was somewhere in Texas. It was a double show that shared the same date with Mesquite,
Oh
and we were there. We saw like Phantom Regiment for the first time and all that stuff, and that was
yeah.
our like first public performance, and it was actually pretty cool. It was a pretty cool
That's dope.
experience.
That is
Uh,
dope.
and then our next one and last one was of course San Antonio, and that was still so much fun. We got to perform with like 2 other Soundsport groups, and during an intermission, it was just a great experience.
Absolutely. There's something I want to pull up right now while we're talking about good old Horizon real quick. I might do a little.
Did you find a show?
No,
Oh
I
god!
found this cool little.
Oh snap!
I
Yup,
found this in prep.
yup.
And we talked about a little guy earlier, and I don't.
The thing I like about Horizon is just
Oh my gosh, there he is! I forgot about this.
Bro, we
Holy
had to go back.
crap!
Look at our guy, our baby boy.
You want to know what's funny? I saw Matt over the break, and he hasn't changed a bit. Like not at
No
all.
way.
It's
Dude, I
great.
love Matt. We're
Uh,
talking about Matt Hernandez, of course, who's in this little video we're talking about right here.
yeah,
Just a little side note for the people out there. Nick and Matt both sat in front of me and Dylan Ryder in 2019, and
yeah,
what a time it was!
it
What
was
a
a great
time!
time. I've
Loved
I've
Matt.
known the person who is doing the voiceover. I have known them since we were in
I
middle school.
Yeah, dude, and it's just
in
so
my future, but for the most part, I think I'm gonna stick with
like
Horizon.
there's a really
Until it grows
great
into something
a
bigger core.
great
My favorite thing
there's
about
a really
it's unreal.
great
It's
quote here
amazing.
at the end. I think he
The
has.
thing I like about performing at drum corps is that you get to work really hard all summer, and then you get to show the crowd what you've been working on, and they're here just to see you. It's not like they're here to see like a football game and you're performing at halftime. They're here just to see the music and the marching, and it's amazing to see their faces and how they react to your show.
That's a great answer right there. That's what
It's
everyone
so
was thinking.
pure.
It's perfect.
It's so
Oh my
good.
gosh. Oh my
Oh, it's
gosh.
too
I
good.
completely
It's just
forgot about
perfect.
that.
I did. It was kind of surprising because I was gonna like when I was first like doing prep for this, I was like, I hope I find clips of this just so I can get like an idea. I can talk about something here. And then I saw that, and I was like, oh, cool. Let's see it. Like, let's see their little feature spot. And then Matt comes on the screen. I was like, Matt.
No.
I was like, we have to talk about this. This is in like bold letters. I was like, bro, we
and
have to.
you
Matt was
wanna know
famous before all of us, dude.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, totally was. And the crazy thing was is that looking back at it, like
Yeah.
seeing all the people that I marched with, like the color guard, I got like
Yeah.
I'm always friends with the color guard, even here in Boise State. I love the color guard. Color guard deserves all the appreciation they can get. And
Absolutely.
like just seeing Zach in the box,
Yeah.
literally in that giant box prop, like that.
That was
Those
him?
box, yeah, that was him. That was him in that
Wow.
box, like him playing the solo of our show, and it,
Wow,
yeah,
dude.
yeah. Look how far we've all come.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Oh, that's good, dude. That is crazy. I remember I feel like I briefly met Zach Rogers in 2018 because I think Dylan marched with Zach, I think at Guardians question mark. I don't know about that like certainly, but I do remember that I met Zach in 2019 for sure. And this man, like we were talking, he was from BD, he was dating somebody in the color guard at BK. And I remember we had our free day during tour and he came into the gym and I was like leaving the housing site. And like, he's like, oh, what's up, man? What's up? And he's like, you're one of the trumpets? Yeah, yeah. So we start talking, and he breaks down the entire like BD19 trumpet feature to me. And I was just like, sick. It was just so funny because he's just like, man, it's the coolest thing I've ever played in my life, bro. Let me break this down to you.
Yeah.
Like every single thing, I was just like,
sounds like Zach.
wow. But no, he's cool, man. He's great. But I had to pull that clip out. I saw that. I was like, I have to pull
After what? I marched with that man for 3 years. And even though there were times where he was a pain in my ass, I love the dude. I love the dude. I truly do.
Listen. I remember I get Snapchat memories over the summer of when I was a pain in the ass to you from the
No, you were not a pain in the ass. You were an absolute child I loved. Like I want you to know, I still like lose it whenever we're in Adams City in the orange and green gym with the taqueria like across the street, and like
I know what this story is.
Like you're tired, you're out of it, whatever, and Dylan is on the phone with you, looking at you from across the sleeping area. that always gets me.
Was it you that I chased around that gym the day that, like, because it was an afternoon rehearsal, we got done with brass, and we're like we all finished eating, we all go back in the gym, we're all hanging out at the sleeping area, and we're playing the whole like draw line game, and
Oh yeah, no. Because I remember standing like off, like a ways from you, and I'm like, Jeff, draw a line.
All right. You're like just on the ground, like, all right, Jeff. And I'm like standing on the bleachers because at this point, I think we're like 2-3 weeks into spring training.
Yeah.
Everyone figured it out week one. Like, swear to God, everybody figured it out. I remember everyone did it all the time. And then everyone would be going up to me and they'd be like, Jeff, draw me a line. And I was just like, oh, I'm going to. And they'd be like, no, shitty line.
Shitty line. That's a bad line. Bad line. Get out of here.
I was like, what do you mean? I'm doing it. And I was like, you guys do it. And I watched that and I'd be like, I don't understand. And I remember in the gym, and when I finally figured it out, there's still a clip of it too.
Yeah, somebody took a video up on my Snapchat memory every once in a while.
Everyone in the gym just screaming at me, all right, Jeff. And finally I go, all right. And it was because I was just like annoyed. I was like, all right. And everyone went, yes. I just start running after Nick.
Yeah, you just start running at me and I drop the camera and I'm off. It was a great time.
Now I do that with everybody, bro.
It was.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, dude. I want you to know that when I brought that back home after the first year I learned it, people were ready to punch me because they were like getting so furious.
The power you hold when you can just go, no. Bad.
I still even do it now with some of the college kids that I talk with. It's funny. It's great.
A little quote here before we continue moving on to your career. Something I saw that I wanted to talk about a little bit. There's this quote that Horizon had on their page. It's kind of everywhere. And I wanted to see kind of why they picked this. I don't know if you can explain any of it, but born in the desert, raised in a lion's den. Yeah. What is that? I don't know if you can explain kind of what that is, where that came from.
Yeah, the place where like the core originated, it's like Midland, Odessa area, and like for those not like familiar with Texas, it's like flat. There's nothing but dirt, dust, and oil. That's all there is in that area. Texas. And it's basically a desert, now. Yeah. And that's kind of like where it was founded. And like the Lion's Den is like, oh hey, we're gonna put you to work like we're feeding you to a lion, but you're gonna come out a lion yourself on the once we're done. And that's just kind of the thing that stuck. It was pretty cool. The founding members the year prior, they got like this cool little small charm, like the silver charm that was like a lion head with a crown on it. Because it was their first year, and it was like, that's pretty cool.
That's dope. Okay, I like that. I like where that came from. Oh,
I believe it's in here.
Let the people know.
Nope, not in here. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere safe, though. But, yeah, it started to leave a big green stain on my chest.
Ooh, yeah. No, we don't want that. Moving forward in your career, what would you say, like, from that experience in Soundsport, What or maybe how did that help you go to the next level of world class?
I don't know if it was just by pure luck or situation that our drill wasn't written that first week, but after that first week, I was like, okay, like I'm fairly, in a good physical place to where I can do this stuff and possibly more, whatever they throw at me, and I was ready to go. And I
Right.
was talking with our visual caption head, Josh Bailey. Love him. He
Mm-hmm.
marched Madison Scouts 2013, I think.
Ooh,
Yeah, good show, good show.
good show.
Great show.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, you have great visual promise, like you can go
Mm-hmm.
where you want to. And I'm like, I'm just no. I'm no. and like the whole visual staff was just so good, and that's definitely
Yeah.
what like propelled me to that next level, was
Yeah.
just like constant repetition. And then kind of the standard that Horizon set was, again, like almost exactly the same as world class. I would say the most difficult thing that I had adjusting from Soundsport to world class was possibly some of the dance terminology, like the ballet stuff that's like outside of marching band. That was like the big
Absolutely.
stuff I needed help with.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we had the basic, pivot knee in, pivot knee out, squat and basic marching band stuff, instead of,
Yeah. But
27.
BK17,
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. I came out
I
looking
like.
so skinny. Oh my God. No joke. No joke. 2 days, no, the day after I got back from that season, all of my friends and Matt show up to like say hi to me, and they're like, dude, are you okay? And I'm like, dude, yeah, I'm in the best physical shape I've ever been in my life.
Feel
And they're
great.
like, and I'm like, did they feed you? I'm like, dude, they fed me forts.
Well,
like
you gotta
like
understand, we had hour and a half dinners.
yeah, yeah. And I'm like, dude, they fed me well. That show was just absolutely killer. It was
Yeah.
hard.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I watched that show
Ugh.
and it's like, I don't think there's like 5 seconds of just like, there might be a maximum of 5 seconds where you're standing still, but like every single moment, there's body, there's marching, there's something
It
happening
was
every single second.
so rough. I remember getting the opener was very rough, because like we're all by that giant iris prop, and we're
Yeah.
all swooping down, and I literally had to, a man had to cartwheel over my shoulders and I had to support him.
Oh
Like
my
I don't know if you
God.
saw that over in the show, but like there's a part of our choreography where there's two parts actually, to where me and my dance partner, we're dancing, doing all the pinky stuff, and then we
Yeah.
interlock arms. He cartwheels over me and lands, and then we continue on with the
Oh my
choreography.
God. I
And
did
then
not catch that.
yeah, and then there's another part in that opening choreography where I have to lift a color guard girl up in the air completely vertical, and then bring her back down softly.
Oh my God.
And like I had to go through two partners because one got injured halfway through the season, and then they had to bring in someone else. And
Oh,
it was a whole thing.
it
Like,
was work.
yeah, yeah, dude. Like by the
It was
fourth
work.
movement, like they have us strike a pose, and like there was like four poses we could strike, and I was on a single leg like a crane suspended in water. And like by that time in the show, I'm done. I'm gassed. Like my body is hurting. So many times I could have easily just like passed out and just dropped
Or
on
pick a
the
different
field.
one on 2 feet.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. I do want to talk a
Yeah.
little bit about the show in general in 2017, but
Yeah.
first off, how did BK kind of come into your life in 2017? How'd that come about?
We actually had a lot of staff on her on Horizon that marched Blue Knights. Like they
Oh
all
wow.
got their starts from Blue Knights. Every single one of them marched Blue Knights at a certain point in time before going on to like Crown, Blue Devils, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like everyone was saying, like, yeah, you should go to Blue Knights. Blue Knights is a great organization, and
Hmm.
like a handful of us went and auditioned, and honestly that's kind of where I found home. I didn't really want to go any other place after that.
Yeah. What kind of settled it for you? I know for me, whenever I got there in 2019, I finally like checked it out. It's something I always heard over my career from 2016 to 2019 was just like, I don't know. I don't really understand those BK shows, but like the vibes that they have over there.
Yeah, that was
And I always
so.
just like, that's always what I heard. I was like, it just never makes sense, but like the vibes they give off is just, it's so chill. And I was just like,
Yeah, the vibe in BK 2017 was like, we're here. It was different than what I ended with in my age out year, because like in 2017 we
mhm,
were like, we're here to work hard, but we're also here to have fun, because at the end
yeah,
of the day it's just band.
yes,
And we had a lot of vets to kind of steer us in the right direction of what the vibe was supposed to be, and
absolutely.
like it's the whole thing of like, be a good person, if you're going to do, if you're of age, 21, and you're going to drink or whatever, be smart with it, come back ready to
Yeah,
rehearse and all that. And I'm
right.
like, yeah, I'm here with this. And
Yeah.
like whenever we're not doing shows or rehearsing, we were like, we were cutting up. We had some fun times.
Yeah. I enjoyed it because like I came from 2018. It was so rigid and there was so many rules and there were so many
Mhm.
like things put in place to where you could only do like these certain things within these certain boundaries. And then in 2019 it was kind of like, you know what to do. The rules of the
Mhm.
law. Don't be stupid. Don't like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like be smart and then when you come back to rehearse, like be ready to go. Give us that back. Like be ready for this rehearsal and then you can go do whatever you want when
Yeah.
you're gone. And it was just like that trust already being there made you want to like, okay, no,
Oh
I
yeah.
gotta be ready
Oh
for
yeah.
tomorrow. Like I gotta be ready for tomorrow because you're
Yeah.
like
It's like that
they're
responsibility.
yeah, it's like I have all this, I could mess around, but also like I gotta show up tomorrow. I gotta be
Mhm.
ready to go. So it was like, yeah, of course I'm gonna have my fun, but like we gotta show up tomorrow. We got a job to do.
Yep.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the show. So obviously I've talked about, I don't know, growing up, it might have just been because I was a younger kid, but the shows just never made any sense to me. I like watched them and I was just like, is how like especially that 1 second. Like I remember watching that
Yeah.
show,
Yeah. Yeah.
young kid. I think that was like 2014 because
I think
2015
so.
was
2015.
because
That great event was 2015 because I saw that one in person. So then it
I
was
get them
probably
all
20.
mixed
Yeah.
up. But
Yeah.
whatever that 1 second
Yeah.
was, whatever that I remember watching that and being like,
Hmm.
what the hell happened? I'm like, I know this. I know the clock stopped at the end, but like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah. Yeah.
else happened in the middle there? And like the same thing, like I'm watching this show and I'm just like, I love it. Like it's so sick. And I get to the
Yeah.
end, I'm like, that was cool. What was it? What was it like explained to you guys? What was kind of like? Do you remember like the concept kind of?
The way they described the show to us is that it's a very introspective show because it's about how we as people perceive the world,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Mm.
And a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the choreography, like this hand waving movement is something to distract the eyes. It blurs the eyes. And then this is like, I think it's like eye in sign language or something along those lines.
Hmm.
That's what the designer was saying. But
Yeah.
you know and it was basically like,
Mm-hmm.
who sees me as the individual person, who sees the real me, who sees a different me, and all this and that. And
Yeah.
it's just about perspective of the world, and with all the different
Absolutely.
colored uniforms and all that stuff. And then of course
Absolutely.
we also spelled out who sees me on the field. That became a
Also,
big joke.
what did the whole like hide thing mean? Like the hide drill set, like in that like final part of the show. Do you know if that was for anything? Because like you guys perfectly make the word hide. Like
I
I
would
think towards the end of
say,
that show.
if anything, from what I remember during like the whole show reveal and show design powwow, it was like how well you can hide your inner emotions, or how well you can hide that second face, like from
Mm,
reality, something like that.
absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
like I remember like that whole thing is about emotion heap, and like if you know anything about that song, it's about her parents' divorce and all that,
Mm-hmm.
and her experience through it. kind of hiding her emotions, and I would say
Yeah.
that it's something along those same lines.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so much of the show, I mean, obviously we've already talked about like how it feels like that show just never stops moving the entire time. And I
Yeah.
guarantee like the fact that you had just come off a season where you have like, the first week of spring training is just basics. And then you get to this show where it's so like there is not a moment where you're not doing body or you're not marching. So I just got to assume by the end of the season, like you just like stellar and
Oh
just like
yeah.
marching and all that and body, like by the end of the summer you're just like, yeah, I could basically do anything from this point now.
Yeah, pretty much, because like,
Yeah.
so like at that point in time, I was still a swimmer for my high school, so I was about
Mm,
165 pounds of like mainly swimmer muscle,
right.
and then I come back from tour and I'm about
Mm-hmm.
150, 145, and I'm a lean, mean machine. Like the
Dang.
day, like 2 days after I got back, or the day after I got back into
Yeah.
Texas, I was like, I need to go for a run. I just feel like I need to go for a run.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, it's too hot out there. It's 118 degrees. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
I did like a 2 mile run in like no time. I was like, oh, I feel
Yeah.
great. I feel great. It was nuts. It was
I
nuts.
wanted to talk a little bit about something here. There were so many full circle moments for me, kind of like with BK in general, and I think that's why it was so special in 19. But I remember when I was marching for OC in 17, and obviously that year the new Mercedes-Benz Dome in Georgia is getting built, in Atlanta, I should say. The Atlanta regional gets moved to that Powder Springs, that high school or whatever. I don't even know how I remember
In,
that,
in,
but the
in
school
2017 or in 2018?
2017, because the first year of the
Yeah.
Mercedes Benz was 2018.
Yeah.
But in 2017, you guys rehearsed there, just
Yep.
like we did in
Yep. Oh
19, but
my
you guys
God.
rehearsed there in 17.
That was a
And
day. That's another story.
the 19 one?
No, the 17 one.
Oh, okay. Well, I have a story about that day.
Go
Just a
ahead.
little
Go ahead.
part for me, and I remember when I saw you guys because I was like, I think we were getting off the bus, we were doing something, and I had enough time to go over. And it wasn't like the main field, obviously. It was some field. I couldn't even tell you where it is now, but like it was some
Narnia.
random like turf field. Yeah, basically. And I remember like I just stopped for a second because I was like, who is this? And they were just like, oh, BK's here. Like they're rehearsing right now. I was like, oh. So I like stayed and watched for a little bit, and you guys ran the chunk that's like the DCI 2017 Blue Knights chunk that they like the 2.5 minute clip that they post on there.
Oh, the very
Like,
ending with like the giant box rotation.
yes, the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I almost like I remember when I watched that clip and I was like, oh, this sounds like their ballad, but then you realize it's like definitely the end of the show.
Yeah.
But that whole moment, just watching you guys do that over and over again, specifically like the whole like that big hit moment with the visual, like the whole day crescendo or the forte piano moment and that whole release
Yeah.
moment, you guys were
Yeah,
working on
yeah.
that like a million times over. And I
Oh,
remember just watching that over and over and over again. And I was just like, that's so good. And I was just like, I remember when I saw it again, I was just like, yeah, dude, I bet that is like the moment of the summer that they're like, yeah, we're gonna hit this over and over and over again.
yeah.
The story for you, what was your story?
That was the worst day I have ever had in my drum corps career. Was that day?
I should have said nothing.
No. It was
Redact my whole story.
actually.
I thought you guys were so cool. That was the worst day of my life.
I would say that was like the worst time of my DCI career. The first was Tennessee. I got yelled
Oh
at by the brass
no.
caption head in front of everyone, and I had to play by myself in front of everyone. It was not fun. It was not fun.
Oh no. Okay, wait. You gotta tell both of those, but maybe go with
Yeah.
the 17 one first.
Yeah, they're both from 17, but
Oh my
yeah, no,
god.
the Tennessee one was pretty much that, but I'll explain that one later after
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta. But
Yeah.
so we wake up for the Atlanta regional, and
Yeah.
something in like I would say most people have it in drum corps where you wake up, it's the wall. You don't want to be there anymore. You just
Absolutely.
don't want to get up. You don't want to go to rehearsal. You don't want to do any of that stuff. That was my day. I had like less than 2 weeks left in the season, and that
Yeah.
was my day. and so I get up. I'm I'm like sprinting to rehearsal. I make it in time. And everyone thinks like, okay, it's a regional. We're going to have a 4-hour block. We're going to have a lot of time off to rest. It's going to be a great show and all this and that. We do the 4-hour rehearsal block on the main field that the regional was held at. And then halfway through, we're like, okay, guys, we're going to do another 3-hour block, just brass, in the Narnia field.
That's the one I saw.
That's where you saw us. First off, weird that we saw each other at that same time, and we didn't know we were going to march with each other in the future.
And then we ended up rehearsing, and then we rehearsed together in 2019 at the same. It's weird. So many full circles.
And so whenever they're telling us this, that we're going to like do a rehearsal on a separate field, we're like, why? Like, all of us are so pissed off right now. And they're like, okay, guys, you're going to go to the parking lot. You're going to cross a bridge. You're going to go past the shed, and then you're going to find this field. Because that's where that field was at like compared to the rest of the school. Like, we have to go across this literal giant bridge that goes.
You have to go through Narnia.
The bridge to Narnia, and then we did that rehearsal there. I remember hating that time because I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I want to shower and rest. And then he releases us, and when I'm talking everyone, sprinted to the showers.
Because the showers are so far away from everything.
Because what we had to do is that rehearsal was done, okay? And it was the same housing site nonetheless, where you have to go all the way back, exit from Narnia, go back into Narnia to find the showers. And it was a whole thing. My flip-flop broke that same day too.
Oh no, done. Like cut myself.
I'm
like
going
I
home.
am out.
Bye guys.
Bye. Like why? Flip-flop.
Just flip-flop.
Broken. Gone.
And like the showers smelled like heavy sulfur. It was a whole thing.
Ew. Yeah, no, they were nasty.
The worst day in my whole career was Tennessee. I don't remember
where were
we
were in Tennessee.
I don't remember. I have no clue where we were in Tennessee. But we go out for Brass on the Move. It's only brass block. We're learning our breathing counts, or we're solidifying breathing counts, and these breathing counts were very confusing to me because like some were on the Andy of beats, some were on the and of beats. And they changed because of the meters like that we went through during like I think it was our closer that we were repping the part that you saw. And I was doing my best to like subdivide and do all this, but like I was 17 years old, like from a very poor poor at the time band program.
But still, like you're 17 and you're gonna make a mistake.
And so our brass caption head just says, "Stop. What's your breathing count?" And I told him my breathing count. It was the correct breathing count, and he said, "Okay, only you play on the move." And it was a closer. Okay, so we're hauling ass, and I'm on the corner of the box rotation. So I have
that's like the toughest.
Yes. Like it was awful. It was awful. And I was having to march this crazy show, and I missed like a couple of my breathing counts, and I got off in the music. I got confused and everything like that, but I still did the drill, and he just ripped me a new one. Like was like he laid into me in front of the whole drum corps, and like no joke. So afterwards, after the whole thing, first off, I wanted to cry, but I didn't.
I would have. I would have for sure.
And that was the thing. I go up to our only Ageout in the trumpet section at the time. Her name is Emily. I love her. She was
absolutely
loved her so much. She was our only Ageout. She marched like Santa Clara Vanguard and just decided to come to BK just because she liked the vibe. And so she comes up to me after that rehearsal. Like that was the last thing that happened in rehearsal too.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Are you okay?" Like checking up on me and stuff like that. And she's like, I would have cried. Like,
Straight up. I
yeah,
don't think I could have held
like,
out. Like even if it was just a little like tear, but I'm not like even like you're just like
yeah,
just sitting there, let it go down, just
yeah.
like
No, it was
either way,
yeah.
even if you know your music, you know everything, no matter what, if you have to do that in front of everybody, something is gonna go wrong.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sorry, but like it takes because I really do feel like, especially for you. I mean, I know you're in your second year, but it's like your first year in world class. You know what I'm saying? So it's just it operates at I feel like a different level. So I know you were
yeah.
held to that standard, but
Yeah,
it
but
definitely
it's
is.
different. It is different. It is
There's
different
more
going from
pressure,
Soundsport.
it
Yeah.
feels like. Especially in your case when you're coming from Soundsport to, oh yeah, Blue Knights, who are going to be like top 8 level. We're not just speaking I got to world class. We're talking about like the top of like, world class in general, top performing groups. And so no matter what, they're like mentally there's going to be that pressure there no matter how much you like, prepare or whatever, especially at that young age. So it's just like, bro, I can't even imagine like
And we're in like Tennessee. We're in Tennessee by this time, so like we're gearing up. Yeah, Tennessee wasn't that bad for that year, but I remember like we were gearing up for either the Atlanta Regional, or like we just finished it, or we just finished San Antonio, something like that. The hill was in, or like the season was like almost done. So like everyone was like, we need to get this clean and good.
Yeah. Oh, and they picked a 17-year-old that day. They said, you will crack.
It's okay. The trumpet section also picked on the 16-year-old we had in our section. Yeah. To be fair, I think the kid the kid definitely had some other problems he needed to deal with, but he's a great trumpet player. He's a great kid.
Yeah.
Brennan Quick, if you're seeing this, love you, dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he went like as soon as 2017 finished, took a break in 18, then he comes back in 19 and makes BD and gets a ring.
You can't say nothing to that kid, bro. You can't say shit.
I love the kid. He also goes to, he's from Texas, first off, so that's why I know so much. But he's from Texas. He's from a wealthy area in Austin, Texas, and his lessons teacher taught us. Greg something. I can't pronounce his last name, but he was the opening soloist for Fellini-esque in 2014 for Blue Devils. And he taught Brennan in high school. He was his private lessons teacher. Wow. And so I'm like, awesome. Of course, like he's had a great staff with him this whole time. So like,
absolutely,
it's great for him. Great for him. I'm so happy.
Baller.
Yeah, that was a rough time, but
I can see why, because it was probably like Tennessee probably makes sense going into ATL. So like ATL is probably the wall. That makes so much sense with the wall now, because it's just like, bro, I don't even want to. Yeah, showers are in Narnia. My flip flop broke. I had to do this whole thing in front of everybody. What is even happening anymore?
This is supposed to be the fun part. The cherry on top is that because they didn't let us out of that 3-hour block, because we had it, so many people were late to warm up, including the trumpets, because trumpets did bus loading.
Oh God.
And so like half the trumpets were missing for warm up because they didn't give us enough time to pack the buses.
But then they'd still be pissed off about that. They'd still be mad. They'd be like, why are you late? And like, it's kind of your fault. They'd be like, no, it's not. It's your fault.
Yeah. That was a whole
stupid.
thing.
It's like literally nothing I can do. But in 2017, I looked just a little back into the scores. You guys were in 6th place at Allentown that year in 2017.
In terms of what, overall?
Overall, like that's where you stacked at Allentown, was like 6th overall at that time. And then, right after that, obviously that's going into, finals week, Indy, all of that. And then that drops you guys down to 8th place. I got this introduced to me in 2017. What do you think about like score slotting? Just to talk a little bit of shit. Have you heard about it? Do you know, like, what are some thoughts?
Yeah, I've heard about score slotting. A part of me still believes it to be true, especially after going through 2017, 18, and 19 with like swapping places between the Cadets or the Mandarins, or trying to compete with Boston or the Cavaliers and stuff like that at the time.
It's interesting to me because, like, I remember when I first started and I was like, man, that's not even real. It's about our talent.
Yeah.
And then I'm like prepping for these interviews and I'm getting curious. So I go look at, like, when I'm, prepping for people, I just, like, I get curious. I go look at where they were in that season. I go check out San Antonio. I go check out all the regionals. And I'm like, it is kind of interesting that all of a sudden at San Antonio, they got put in this spot. And then they stay in that range for the whole year. And not only that, by the way, but if you check out each regional, it's perfectly slotted that 12 to 9 is in this certain 1 to 1.5 point category. And then all of a sudden 8 to 7 or 9 to 8 takes a crazy jump. And then 8 to 5 has its own, like, 1.5 point slot there. And then, 6 to 5 has a jump, and then 5 to 1 has its own 1.5. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, kind of interesting how. And then, like, I've looked at, like, more recent years, and I'm like, okay, have they caught on? Like, if people caught on and, like, said something, because, like, the thing was, is it even happened in 19 too. I was like, son of a bitch, this is real.
So my conclusion to that is that this is just my opinion, that somewhere along the line, people got in their heads the standard, like what the standard of drum corps is. So the Blue Devils, Blue Coats, Carolina Crown, stuff like that. And at a point, like when DCI was first starting, I would say it was all fair. Everyone had a fair game of winning DCI championship. But as years grew on and dynasties were starting to be created, especially when we march and stuff like that, it feels like, they've made this amount of this, they've made second place all this year, this whole time, now it's time for them to get first place or keep them at second place, or, even though this show was blah, 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 we're still going to give it first place or whatever, second place or whatever. And that's where I'm kind of like, okay, some old people need to get removed, and we just need to go back to, like, a level playing field where there's no biases regardless of whatever the judges
I think there
march.
is some.
It definitely is. There definitely is.
I think there is. And I don't think there's anything wrong in saying that, because at the end of the day, hey, that's just our opinion. So if somebody wants to come out and, like, hey, I have this whole hey, great, we'll take it. But I think there was always, like, a fishy story that I always tell people, that my very first year ever getting to be around it, my brother's first year was 2012. So I remember we go see him for the first time at finals. We go see him and everything, and I remember we're leaving prelims night. Prelims night is over.
What did your brother march?
He marched Pio 12 and 13, and then he marched Boston 14 to 16.
Okay, that's right.
And 2012, we're leaving prelims night, and I remember we see this guy. He's like a janitor or something, somebody who works event staff or works for Lucas Oil. And we stop him, and then we're just trying to figure out, like, start times for the rest of the weekend, so we know when we can, make it back up to the stadium, when we got to be at certain places. We're like, hey, what time does everything start back up? And he takes us through the whole weekend. So we're like, oh, solid. And then he's like, and then on Sunday, I have here that the Blue Devils are performing at the halftime show of the Colts pregame. And we're like, what's his name up there on the thing said that the winner of finals performs at the halftime show of the Colts pregame. And he's like, I got on my paper here that Blue Devils are performing this. Swear to God, I don't have his name. I don't have proof of this, but we were outside. We just left the seats, and we're outside, and we see this guy, and we're like, hey, do you have the schedule for the weekend? He takes us through everything, and he's like, yeah. And then on Sunday, BD's performing at the halftime show for the Colts game. And we're like, they just said that and he's like, listen, I just have what I have here on the paper. I just work here. Just one of those. And we're like, and then BD wins, and we're like,
no shit.
Swear to God, Mom and Dad is my witness.
Bro, that's...
I was a wee lad, but I do remember this.
What year was that? What year did you find that out?
2012.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It would make sense, though. That's the thing. And that's sad,
yeah,
but
man.
Oh my God, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, man.
Oh my
so,
God.
Juice is funny. It's definitely interesting. And I think, though, now with, like, I think with the DCI media game being more up to date, with more people being kind of in the conversation online, I don't think you could really. People are gonna call it out. People who like watch so much at home, DCP, like all the dudes r/drum corps, they're gonna get it and they'll be like, hey man, I caught on. So, someone's going to call it out. But, hey, maybe 2012, you can get away with it. I don't know. If they were fixing championships, let's go back in the archive. Let's get some championships vacated, dude.
Literally, the Blue Devils would have to restart and try to get their like 20th or 30th world championship.
Oh my god!
Because like 2012, that was before they got to 20.
Right.
And like they won so many championships. Like,
yeah.
What made us a little more upset is that the drumline for 2017 was amazing. Yes. Probably one of the best drum lines BK has ever seen.
Solid.
Like Taha and V, they were great. We got like 5th percussion overall that year.
Baller.
And it kind of makes me upset the fact that our percussion can do so well, and yet it does nothing for the overall score. Like we were like brass was like 6th place, like one behind percussion. That's not even that big of a difference, and yet we still ended up we were at.
Yeah, that brass line was so solid. I don't know. I have no idea. I feel like, well, okay, I understand in 19, our brass was young. Okay.
Oh,
we
yeah.
A younger brass line. So it makes sense in 19 when we were like, I think we were like a 9th or 10th place horn line.
Yeah. Well, that was like the thing that sucked the most. That I think BK has a very rough history with instances like this where like they've raised like such a good culture, or they're at a point where they can truly break into the top 5. Within the next 3 years, something like that. Yeah. Because like the vet retention was great. The people who were showing up had really good talent. And then the whole brass staff changed, and then the color guard staff changed, and then the visual staff changed in 2018 and 2019. And then it just it just stirred up this whole thing that BK has strived about 13 years for.
Right. Like trying to make it in, trying to get to that like top 5 spot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but, we'll keep moving on from that, and we'll keep moving through the career here. We'll keep moving forward. So you come back in 2018 to Blue Knights. Was that, like we were talking about with that culture and that vet retention, was that something for you that just played that key part where you were like, yeah, I found my landing spot. Like, this is going to be it for me. I'm coming back regardless.
It was actually 2019 that solidified that for me. 2018, well, I guess you could say 2018 also did that too, because with the staff change, very few vets came back, and I'm like, well, I really love this core and what it's offered me. I don't want to see it go down the drain. Yeah. And so I stayed with that year, and the whole work then have fun kind of started to become imbalanced, just with the new staff and all that. It's because we kind of started to relax a little bit more during that season. During rehearsals, there's a lot of talking, stuff like that, small stuff, but it adds up in the end.
Exactly.
And so and that was the year we got beat out by the Blue Stars, and throughout 2017, it was instilled in my head that they're not our competition. Respectively, especially considering where Blue Knights is now, this is the past. But
absolutely.
It is that type of mindset you kind of got to have if you want to make it to the top 5. It has to be we are going to be, or we might be. We are better than these groups. And it was like that for such a long time. And then 2018 rolled around, lost the Blue Stars. Kendall Haight, our one of our head section leaders, I was standing next to him. I was standing next to him in retreat, and once we got our placement, he turned to me and said, "Never again. Never again will we lose like that."
Because at that point, that's his 3rd year. So it's just like he knows that This is where we're supposed to, and we dropped off.
Yep. Yeah, and I completely agree with that. We dropped off in 2018, and it was heartbreaking to see.
Yeah. This is obviously 60th anniversary or 65th.
It was the 60th anniversary. And that's what also made so many people upset as well, is that many people felt like the show wasn't
I feel like it didn't get its
representing.
props for an anniversary show. I don't think it felt like an
See,
anniversary show at all.
we thought different, because we thought like we were going to have like 2014 clips, 2015, 16, all mashed up into one. You know, we had Jay Bocook back again, and
Yeah.
then something happened behind the scenes, and it just all went away. And I don't know what happened. And the idea that was we originally started with was not nearly.
Just got scrapped?
Yeah, it just got completely scrapped. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. There were so many times in, especially in like Oregon, was Washington area, where like we didn't have drill. We didn't have drill for some parts of the of tour, and like we just had to stand still and then go on to like another big set, or make it to some point. Or what would happen is that we would get one version of the show, and then the very next day, like that night, someone is rewriting the whole thing, like the whole closer,
God.
the whole closer, third movement, all that stuff.
Oh, that's a disaster. I mean, whenever that's like the case, I mean, you know, it's kind of just one of those situations. I had a similar thing like in 2017, and when that kind of situation's happening on tour, it's a different story. When it's move-ins, you have time to like, you know, change and move around, and you can work with things. But when you're on the road and that stuff's happening, it
was rough.
just feels like, let's hang on tight. Let's just, you know, let's get through this thing, you know, because it's never an easy process through that. And it's just so like, especially during an anniversary season where it feels like it's everything's supposed to be like this culmination, so special, such a moment, like for you guys. I just remember seeing that show and being like, isn't this their show? This is the anniversary show? Because I was just like, everything felt like non-BK that whole summer.
Yeah.
And hearing a lot about the stories from 2018 and 2019 when I marched there, it just sounded like so many horror stories. And it's like, no, we just got to get over that. It wasn't. It wasn't.
No,
the best
like when we had a complete visual overhaul. Like we went from having like people who march BD and cadets in like the 90s to people who march all Blue Devils in the early 2000s to 2010s, you know.
Right.
Some great stuff. They're still, you know, fresh on the activity and everything like that. And it was just it was a different contrast. It was so different getting used to that. And yeah.
Speaking of staff, somebody who I want to talk about who was on staff for this full summer. Rest in peace to this good man. I've only got to meet him once, but Mr. Chad Pence.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because you got to get taught by him for, you know, full season. I just got to do an audition in front of him, but maybe if you could talk a little bit about him, what he was like.
Yeah, Chad was, I would say he was a very interesting educator. At the very start of move-ins, I think he was dealing with doctorate type of stuff, some type of degree related stuff, and he wasn't there, and that's when Keith Ty had to step in as assistant brass caption head and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he had good information he always relayed to us. It was kind of interesting being taught by an old school type person, because like our previous caption head, Brad Toth, had marched with the cadets in the 90s and stuff like that. And he was very, you know, he was old, you know, removed from drum corps, but he still worked.
He had new ideas.
But he had new ideas. That's a better way to put it. And then Chad had a lot of good ideas too. Like he taught us well, but I think it was very rough by the fact that he was dealing with his education that made that season also a little strenuous, because he's dealing
with so much like real life, drum corps life.
So there would be periods of time where we would be taught by Chad, and just as we start to get used to his type of flow, he would have to leave, and then we'd have to go back to Keith. But no, he had some good information. He was a real kind guy. There's a dumb picture of him by a parking sign during a warm up, and it spread throughout the whole court. Everyone loved it. It became like a meme and all that stuff. Yeah. I will
That
say
is
I
awesome.
enjoyed some of his warm ups. His warm ups, they made your
Yeah.
face feel good. I
Damn,
felt pretty
dude.
good afterwards.
I remember one of the things too that summer was that ballad. If anything out of that show that I like really keyed in on was that ballad for sure.
The exit music for a film.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that was probably one of my favorite ballads I've done.
I think that is just such like watching it still, no matter what, where the show plays, whatever you think about it, I think that ballad is still just like super badass.
It was really funny. There was a point in time, actually, we had to change the staging of that like final set whenever we get to like the main chorus.
The knees and all that,
Yeah, the
whatever.
knees and all. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because so like the mellophones had to be in front because of the trumpets were just so loud. Like we love that thing, man. We love that ballad.
It's so hype. It is so
And
hype,
I
dude.
will say a close competitor is Hurt.
Yeah,
From that
that
was that
was
was a good ballad.
that was a really good one, dude. I remember the day we were in Salem. I remember it was raining in the morning. I think we were doing brass or something in the morning. I just remember it was like right before we were about to go to lunch or dinner, and it's raining and it's just starting to come down. And it's just Keith up in the box, and he's just like,
Yep.
we're gonna do this one more time, and we're just gonna take this moment. Everything's happening right now. Just do this ballad for you guys right here.
Yeah.
And I remember like I don't know, it's just little moments like that where you kind of just like put your feet back on the ground yourself in that moment. That yeah, it's just obviously could go on for days. There's so many moments like that in 2019. But something I wanted to ask about real quick. Speaking on the anniversary year, what were some like? Were there any different type of things that you guys got to do in that summer that were like, maybe different with like alumni or something else where you got to do something different just to kind of, commemorate that year?
We did two things with the alumni for our anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
We did one with our send-off show.
Yeah.
2018 we did we did our show, and then the alumni joined us in for a couple of things, and of course eyes, stuff
Yeah.
like that. And then
Absolutely.
we did it again in Drums Along the Rockies
Yeah.
later that season. And
I remember seeing that one
it
because
was it was pretty fun. It's pretty nice seeing the people that came before you, and it was also nice seeing the people that I just marched with in that corps.
Yeah.
They haven't forgotten about us. We're a big part
still
of their
coming back.
life. Yeah, so it was nice doing all that stuff with alumni.
Absolutely.
I hope they do a lot more with it, especially broad trips. Like they did a trip to Spain, like during the 2018 season, during the winter too. Like it was the alumni corps. They had a huge band piece. They brought out
Ooh.
everyone. It was so sick. It was so sick.
Oh my God. That's tight.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Oh my goodness, dude.
Yeah.
Moving on to 2019, you said that was kind of a year for you that solidified where you were in that. What made you come back again for your third year in 2019?
A part of it was what Kendall said to me finals night in 2018.
Yeah.
Something lit a fire in my heart, and I was like, we're going to be back, and we're going to be the best Blue Knights the Blue Knights has ever seen.
Yeah.
And it also helped that they gave me assistant section leader along with David and Kendall. That was that it felt like, despite everything that has happened in my previous years, they still appreciate that I keep coming back. And some point in that season something clicked and BK was my home. That's all there was to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think for me, the Memorial Day show, the little public performance we had, it was like a week and a half in, maybe. They say that there's these volunteers who have like prepared lunch and all this stuff. It was a full spread, like 2 tables of just a full spread of all this food, all these people coming out to help us, and then all these people who came out to see the show. And we only had the opener on the field. What the hell? We only had the opener, and we're going to play the rest of the show for you, but like all we got marching and playing is the opener. And they came and they watched us, and they watched through the warm-up and everything. And I remember we were in the warm-up the little warm up arc in the on the track. I just remember like everyone coming out, and I remember like just how like grateful I was that everyone was being so like just like that support of like alumni and people wanting to come out
Yeah.
and people actually wanting to see you, and everyone in that group being so nice as they were, and everyone being so supporting and everything like that. It was just like, dude, tears coming down my eyes in the arc, because I was just like, this is what I've been wanting my whole career. Like, it doesn't matter. Like at this point, it doesn't matter about the rings, whatever. It's like this.
Oh yeah.
This is all I could ever dreamed of at this point, dude. Because this is it.
You obviously remember Salem and everything like that, right? Salem,
Yeah.
or I was sick for that show. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, up in Oregon, like early
Up
tour?
in Oregon, yeah. No.
Yeah.
It was the dog show.
Oh, Virginia. Okay, so Salem, Virginia.
Virginia. Yeah, Virginia.
Yes.
I was sick for that show. And a thing that solidified like BK is my home is being able to hear Away for the first time outside, like not being in the circle. Because out of all my years, it may not have been the best warm up. I don't care, but the fact that I finally got to hear Away for the first time in 3 years, 3 years by that time, like, oh yeah, there's nothing like it.
This is
dude, my Ageout, dude, Away for my Ageout. Yeah, we'll get to that.
I've talked about this with some people I've marched with from that summer have come on. I want to ask you, as a vet who you're there as your third year, that summer was so special for so many people in so many different ways. What for you kind of like stood out, or maybe something just clicked that you're like, this, something about this summer is just going to be different than all my other summers? You know, I just feel like it was different for everybody in general.
I think a big portion would have to be because of my buddy Matt. The fact that he made it that year, and you know, he was my seat partner, and that was a big thing because I love that man. Love that man with all my heart and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And if you also include the fact that we got to hang out with you and Dylan. Shout out Dylan Ryder. Shout out Dylan Ryder.
Shout out Dylan Ryder.
Shout out Dylan Ryder. Love that man.
Absolutely.
The fact that we got to hang out with y'all, like, it also made the season better because like, it's like a season is good whenever you have like a good friend that's always there with you through the whole season. That was Matt, but it's even better when you have like a group of friends who, like, yeah, we want to do our own things, but we're tight. We still want to hang out with each other. You know, we hang out after shows and stuff like that. And there's just something else about, the best way I can describe it is the vibe. The vibe of 2019 is, there was something electrifying about that season. I don't know what it was. It was just electrifying.
The moment I knew this was going to be different, because listen, I knew when I got there, this is a different level of drum corps. It's obviously going to be a little bit different. And it's going to be special when you hear yourself playing in the horn line, and it sounds better than the one you were in the past 3 years. It's going to sound better. Everything's going to look better. Everything runs. You know what I'm saying? Everything's great. Yeah. Hour and a half dinners. You're like, oh my God. And then what happened when we get to that first week of move-ins was like Austin Green, got to credit him and Daniel Belcher for this, but taking the lead on right out of the gate in spring training, being like, hey, we're going to get the whole corps together. And while we're inside, because it's snowing outside right now in May or whatever, it's snowing. Yeah. So before we start this next block, we're going to have the whole corps here. And you have to get to know 3 people before this next block starts in like this amount of time. And, you know, whatever. And you went and like, it was a legit thing. Like, it wasn't just like ask these. No, it was like, go meet new people, meet everybody, by the way. Don't just like hang out in Brassland, go meet everybody. And like, when we did that, then everyone was just like, oh, I just felt like everybody was so like, okay, that person's got, I know this person, I know this person, I know this person. Everyone's just comfortable because they're like, I know that person and they got my back out here. And everyone's just like, I think that was so special to me because I never had that. I always had it where it was brass and it was guard and it was percussion and it was the split and this group hang out with that and this group hang out with that, especially in 2018. And I was a culprit. Because we had our own group by the end, because we were all just like, we got to get out of here. but that's a different story. But in 2019, it just felt like there was no clicks, there was no brass guard percussion. It was we are the Blue Knights Drum and Bugle Corps, and I think that is something that needs to be harped on everywhere. If
Oh
that can just
yeah.
be something everywhere, because I haven't seen that everywhere, where it's just like obviously that's going to happen camp season when you walk in and you see the vets talking to the vets, and the rookies got to make friends with their brass friends or their percussion or whatever. As you get into that season, like it sounds silly because you're like, duh, of course we, but you don't. I don't think staff, until I saw that season, there was never a staff that made it a big enough thing to be like, hey, get to know each other because this is you guys, this is your show, this is you guys for 85 days. This is you guys, so you gotta know each other, like, and that's what made him so much more special. Because no matter what, wherever you were on the field, you were just comfortable at all times, you know. So that for me was just like there's something different. They care about the people here, and I was like, when that is happening, and when you're caring about the people and doing you and worrying about your product, everything kind of seems to work out. But when you're worrying about numbers, placements, whatever, it's kind of crazy how things don't work out that way.
Yeah. Another big thing that I took away from that year, I don't remember who said it. It was either my buddy Chris or Keith Ty.
Yeah.
They were saying, look left, look right. You are here with these people for 85 to 87 days, and that is it. And for all we know, that is the last time you will ever come in contact with that person.
Yeah.
And it was solidified whenever a tragic accident happened with one of the Guardians trumpet players. He sadly lost his life during an accident, and whoever said those words or during that year, it gave me a new perspective.
Yeah.
And going into 2019, I would say I brought that, you know.
Yeah. Because everyone can say it, and it's just like, you know, you might not see but when you say it and you say it in like that certain way, just like that, it's kind of just like,
oh yeah, I'm actually working with a dude I marched in 2018 with, Jake Robinson. Shout out him. He's a great friend of mine.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen
him in 5 years until he auditioned here. That was the last time I saw him was finals night in 2018.
Wow.
And it's been a whole crazy thing.
I
definitely brought that mentality going into my Ageout year as well.
Absolutely. And I don't think you realize it, especially when you're in that process and you're in that cycle, because especially when you're in that cycle and you know that you have like multiple years left.
You kind of take it for granted. Yeah.
Because I remember like I got to the end of that season and shout out Matt Osborne, but I talked to him after the final show.
Matt Osborne.
He's like, Jeff, you coming back next year? I was like, yeah, dude, this is it. Like, dude, this is all I've ever wanted. I'm coming back for sure. And I just not that I took the people for granted, but I took my situation, the fact that I was like, I'm going to come back and have this again. And it was just like, I never had that again. Like COVID happened. I never got to see some of those people again. And like, that was kind of, you know, it was reaching out through like, you know, social media, whatever it be. So it's just like, you know, all of that. It's just, you know, it's perspective. Yeah. It's perspective. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Was there any difficulty like staying motivated for a season, or like what you were talking about with like, you know, maybe getting beat by Blue Stars, or maybe that quote that you were talking about, like, you know, your person on your left and right, was it hard to stay motivated, or were you easily like, yeah, this is it?
Yeah, I would say it was pretty easy to stay motivated, because another thing that you develop going through drum corps is that it's a team effort, it's a team thing, and at a point in time you don't want to let your team down. Yeah. And that's basically how it is for me in this off season. You know, I didn't want to let my team down because I want to be ready for whatever comes up, you know, in this next season.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of older vets who kind of lose their motivation or their drive to still do you know, to still like put forth that same effort that maybe they had in like year 2 and year 3, kind of being able to be like, well, I've been here long enough. The staff knows me. The people know me. I can kind of just like coast from here. I was just curious if that ever like crept in for you. Cause I remember like when I did the audition, when I came back for 22, when Keith Ty convinced me to come back in the room and I went, I was like, Man, I've done everything. I've done everything I need to do. I remember Austin Green said, "Get those hips around." I said, "I'm out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to do this because I'm year 5. There's no way, you know." So I'm like, did that ever creep in for you?
No, not really. I actually got a pretty good horror story instilled in me in 2017. I heard from the Mellows that March 2016, during
Yeah.
the audition process, the entire Mellow line was set at this point in time. I can't remember when this person was telling
Mm.
me or what point in time, but the Mellow line was set. The Mellow line got a little bit of complacency, and the video assignments weren't at the quality that they have been in the past.
Yeah.
And so every single member, all 15 or 16, had their contract status revoked. And so they had to, including vets.
Oh
And
my God.
they had to earn that back because the quality product that they were putting out was not standard at the time, or what they were used
Like
to.
all of them got it revoked?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep.
That's
And so,
terrifying.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my
That's why I was a
God.
little stressed in 2017 as well. But like hearing that experience, it's like, well, that kind of makes sense, because if they're not meeting the standard that a drum corps is holding right now, then I believe that that's their right as staff to revoke that contract.
Can make a decision like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. They got to hold up their end too.
So that story definitely definitely kept me in line.
Absolutely. Something I wanted to ask about you becoming an assistant section leader in this year. When you became a section leader, when you were a section leader in this season, what's something you learned about yourself in that position?
I realize that there are more people watching you than you realize.
Yeah.
Even from when I first started, there are still people watching me, you know.
Yeah.
Whether that be to see if you mess up, or for information, guidance, anything along those lines, insert what you want. It feels like it's multiplied because you're a vet, you're a section leader, you know what's going on, you've been
Yeah.
around the block so many times and
Right.
stuff like that. I also definitely had to put on my, the best way I can describe it, being from Texas, the coming to God talk, where
Yeah.
you got to sit someone down and really talk it out with them. I had to find that character, because we did that one-on-one sectional thing in 2019.
Yeah. Ever
And
like you, Kendall, and David all had like
mhm,
your own like 8 people that you had to like sit down with, whatever.
yeah, so
Yeah.
some of my 8 people were some of the harder people to talk to. It was difficult. It was difficult in a way, trying to, I don't want to discourage anyone. I want
Yeah.
whatever information I am giving to be in a positive manner and in a positive, constructive manner.
Yeah.
So, it was difficult trying to find that, but there was an incident that year that I got a random phone call from someone in the Corps saying, "Hey, this person is bawling their eyes out and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
because you said this and this and this to them," and
Yeah.
I had to become a character that I usually don't want to be, because I'm not a shut up, listen to me type of guy. I'm
Right.
like a chill. I want to hear what you have to say, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
And so, as I'm on this phone call, I'm like, "That's not true. Here's what I said verbatim." And I
Yeah.
explain this whole process, being kind of a hard ass about it. And
Yeah.
that has helped me in the long run, honestly, discovering that early on,
Mm.
especially for education during my GA,
Absolutely.
position. That's helped a lot.
Yeah. And learning how to take like
Hmm.
something I learned there too is kind of just like, picking your moments
Hmm.
when to be. Overall, it's pretty easy, honestly. Just be
Yeah.
you, just be the guy, just be a guy. You know what I'm saying? Just be a
Yeah.
person, be a human being, understand that people are going to make mistakes and stuff like
Hmm.
that. Um, it is kind of tough sometimes when you have to
Hmm.
like have that like, come to Jesus moment where you got to have a little conversation with somebody. It's always tough how to figure
Yeah.
that out. I definitely feel you on that because then it's like,
It was
All
I
responsibility.
had another experience like that during my Ageout year, and that
Yeah.
was the thing we'll get to later.
Absolutely. And I think with that, we should just hop right into that.
Hop to the
Hop into
Ageout.
that season. We should hop into that season. But before we get to that age out season, did you waver on coming back for that 21 season at all when COVID kind of shut everything down with DCI? Did anything about your mindset with DCI change when everything got shut down?
I think my mindset about DCI stayed about the same throughout my whole years of marching.
Yeah.
In terms of coming back to the Blue Knights after COVID, it didn't change one bit
Yeah.
because there is going to be new people auditioning for the Corps who have no idea what the standard is, what drum
Yeah.
corps is, even in some instances.
Absolutely.
And there needs to be a figure that leads them that way. One of them
Yeah.
was Caleb. He was our horn sergeant in 2018. I marched with him in 2017. Yeah, he's on staff in Cavaliers now. He's doing great stuff. I love the guy.
Hell
Shout out
yeah.
Caleb. Him and I were the old folks now
Yeah.
because we were the last two, maybe three people to March 2017 that have already
Yeah.
aged out. We were the last ones. We were the old
Right.
heads and everything like that. He was horn sergeant. I was head section leader
Yeah.
at that time. I just loved BK so much to where I didn't want to see it get away from what it originally was. From
Like if you had the power
yeah.
basically to like
Yeah.
still go and like maintain that culture that you know is BK, if you have that opportunity to
Mhm.
control, like you would want to go do that as somebody who has that power to like the ability basically to come in and be like,
Oh
I
yeah.
understand the culture here, and if I'm put in that position to, you know, maintain that,
Mhm.
absolutely. You know?
And that's what I really wanted to do during my age out year, is instill a good standard
Mm-hmm.
for everyone to look after. And it was so much fun. Like I quote you on this. I had my bus interview, by the way.
Oh, like your meet the bus?
Yeah, my meet the bus. I didn't meet the bus during my age out year.
I don't think I've ever even talked about that. And I love how we're 2 hours and 15 minutes in
Yeah,
this. And now I'm
it's all
finally
good. It's all good.
explaining. I'm finally explaining the whole like origin of my show. Like you realize I've never actually explained the origin of this show.
That's
Like
great.
that's the whole reason I called it Meet the Bus. It's because it's called Meet the Bus. Like that's the
Yep.
whole bus interview thing. Like whenever it's just like what'll happen. It's so funny I'm explaining this in episode 14, but
It's all good.
I know I love it, dude. I fucking
So
love it.
basically, meet the bus is where one person goes up to the front of the bus and introduces himself, their
Bus
background,
captain
and
will
all
be
that
like, bus
stuff.
captain will be like, all right, we got a long bus ride tonight.
Mhm.
Who do we want to meet on the bus? And then people will just start yelling out names, and then the bus captain will be like, all right, we're so and so, we're gonna meet you tonight, and then
Yep.
like come up in like 10 minutes, whatever. That
Yep.
person comes up. It's the differences between this and the bus. The bus is free game.
Oh, dude, bus is free game. I answered so many questions that I cannot answer on here. And so,
and that's why that stays on the bus.
yeah, that's why that stays on the bus. So like I quote from my meet the bus. I
Yeah.
said, "Fuck winning a championship ring. Fuck any of that. Installing a legacy that will outlive me and my time here is better than any of that."
Ooh, bars.
And I still
Bars.
stick by that. I still stick by
Hell
that.
yeah. Yes, absolutely. I think that's way more important because that means that you were able to, you were able to build something that lasts, something that means something. So getting into that 2021 season, I got to see you guys late in that season. You guys were somewhere in Missouri. I remember
Yeah.
I took the drive and I went to go see
Yeah.
you guys. Overall, what was that experience like in that summer? What was different in that summer from other summers? What was it like on the road? What were rehearsals like? What I had so many questions watching the show being like, how were visuals taught on the field? I know so much of that is like interactive. Like
Yeah.
how does this all talk to me about the experience a little bit?
I got to preface this. A part of my age out year was also dealt struggling with a crazy ex-girlfriend. That was
Hell
a
yeah.
whole thing, but
Yeah.
it's okay. I love my girlfriend now. Love you, Mila, if you see this.
Shout out Mila.
Yeah. But like But like during that year, first off, let me preface how literally the start of my season went. My ex-girlfriend went crazy. She broke up with me that night. I went to the airport and flew out that next morning, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do drum corps. I'm gonna have fun.
Was
And
this a
then
last minute decision? You
yeah,
were just like,
yeah,
yeah, I'm just gonna go.
yeah. Like I was on my plane to Colorado, and I'm like, you know what? I really don't care about her right now. I'm going to focus on drum corps because she was not a nice person at all. Not a nice person.
Absolutely.
So like I was going back and forth between that whole thing, but it didn't really
Mm-hmm.
bother me as much because that mentality of this is my last year. I don't know when I'm going to see these people again. That is what drove me this year because,
Yeah.
I've had rough days during that time dealing with my crazy ex, but at the end of the day, I'm there to do drum corps, and that's what I did.
Right.
And if anything, it helped me get over cuckoo McCrazy pants and all that stuff. and
Cuckoo
so
McCrazy pants, bro.
and so I pretty much just tried to live in the moment as much as I could. I remember seeing this old Instagram meme years and years and years ago where it showed like, iPhones were just becoming a brand new thing and everyone was recording everything. And it shows this picture
Yeah.
of a grandma just living in the moment. And I'm like, well, I may not be like those other people with their phones out, but I'm going to be like that grandma and live in the moment. And that whole season, I always
Shout
made
out
sure.
grandmas, dude.
Shout out grandmas. So that season, I made sure to take a step back and really soak in what I was doing because not only
Mm-hmm.
is it amazing, but it's the last time I'll be doing this. And like,
Absolutely.
I hope one of the things I never forget is my last Drums Along the Rockies performance. It wasn't held in Extra Mile because of, budget
Being in
reasons,
Colorado
COVID.
State.
Yeah, COVID and all that stuff. So we had it in another venue, and I didn't care the fact that it was smaller. I didn't care about any of that. It was the fact that I now got to perform the Eyes solo. It was me doing the solo now for Drums
Yeah.
Along the Rockies. And
Yeah.
as we exited the field, the whole show was over. I took a step back and tried to remember every detail of that stadium because
Yeah.
it's probably first and last time I'll be in it.
Yeah.
And I still remember it to this day. And that was what, 3 years ago now? 2 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. A couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
then
think that's the
and
most
then
important part.
it was also like that with what I was doing, like when Dylan was my seat partner for that year, of course. Just hanging out with him was something I'll never forget. And then we also made a friend named
He's kind of great like that.
yeah,
He's kind of a
yeah,
great seat partner.
yeah. And then there's another guy named Carson Meadows. Carson, shout out, I love you,
Shout
dude.
out Carson as well.
I love you,
Crazy dude, but
Carson.
I remember I met him as well, and he is
I love you,
what
I
a
love you, my
guy.
dude. Absolutely love you. He
Yeah.
was part of the Ageout crew in the trumpet
Yeah.
section, and me, him, and Dylan did everything together on free days, and it was.
Yeah.
I took time
A
to be
time.
thankful that I got to experience that.
That's beautiful. That's a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful time. Overall, with that summer being so kind of like there's so many restrictions on what you can do as a drum corps that summer.
Yeah.
What were some of the restrictions that you guys were facing during that summer?
In the sleeping area, on the bus, in the food line, basically anywhere indoors, you had to be wearing a mask. It was just that point in time. That's just where we were at. In the COVID process, you had to wear a mask everywhere. Like even on the longest bus ride ever, you had to wear a mask. And I didn't mind it. I had like a buff that I used
Yeah.
that was really good at
Yeah.
blocking all that stuff. And then
Right.
and like everyone also knew the danger of getting sick in drum corps.
Dude,
So
it would mess up everybody. Like it's
yeah.
happened since then, and it
Oh yeah.
takes out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even before COVID too. Like I remember norovirus in 2016 took out everybody.
Yeah.
So like it's even heightened with COVID. I mean,
Yeah.
if one person, we're all going. Like we're all going down.
Yeah. And that wasn't too bad. I would say probably the roughest thing wasn't that rough because I do understand it was
Yeah.
you weren't able to visit family after shows just because
Oh,
we're in a bubble. a contact bubble and all that stuff. And so that was kind of hard, being my last year, but it was okay. I made it through.
Absolutely. What overall, maybe if it was eyes or just being able to have that moment where you get to, you get to complete it on your terms, your drum corps career, what kind of made that summer worth it for you?
It'd probably be performing Eyes in Lucas Oil Stadium.
Which was going to be my next thing.
Yeah, because to my knowledge, that is the only performance of Eyes that is done in Lucas Oil Stadium, and Dylan and I got to do it.
And it'll probably be the only one ever.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That whole experience in general was surreal, to say the least.
That was so cool, dude. When I saw you guys doing that, I watched you guys from home, man. And I remember like that for me, watching you guys do that was like, that was the motivation for me to be like, okay, I might do my Ageout. Like I just saw you guys doing it and I was just like, man, I was just so happy for Dylan personally because knowing him since my my first year doing drum corps when I was just a young wee lad at 15 and then growing up with Dylan and him watching me grow up and me knowing what he's been through in his career and then watching him getting to do that, I brought a tear to my eye, dude. I was so
it was
happy
great
for him, bro. It was just man, I think that was so cool that they let you guys do that too.
It was amazing.
Like how would they just be like, yeah, you know what, sure, go ahead and do your encore.
And then I would say now that you're bringing up Dylan, now that he's tied into Eyes, one other memory that solidified it is that I'm sorry, Mandarins. We stole one of your frisbees. It's somewhere in those boxes back there.
Grab it.
But those giant frisbees that they threw, it was Wyoming? I don't know, something around there. And Dylan was like, hey, go grab a frisbee. And I look over and the equipment truck for the Mandarins is right there. And out there is this giant tub of extra frisbees that they have. So what I did is that I broke twos. I went over and there was like people from Troop loading up their props because they just got done performing. And I said, you don't see this. I take a frisbee and I shove it under my jacket. and it gets even better. So we're about to go on for that show. Dylan and I are talking and we're like, what are we going to do with this? I don't think I should carry it because I have a solo in the show. And if they, and I'm like full great posture and all that. So they'll see a disc. Yeah, a disc sticking out of me. So Dylan is like, let me wear it. And so,
I knew he would because he'd be like, I don't care.
yeah, that's basically how it went. So he wears this whole thing. After the show's done, I find him. He's like, dude, that was the best show of my life. And I'm like, yeah! and somehow he was like, dude, let me keep this frisbee since I marched with it. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, you can have it.
Fair game.
But somehow I got my hands on another frisbee. So Dylan and I both have frisbees. It was great. And the best it was so great. And the best thing is that Caleb, our bus captain, by the way, baritone player, he was like, if anyone steals the frisbee, I'll give them a kiss. And
you honestly, just like no words, just like
yep, pretty much. And so that was another great moment.
Oh my god! I mean, that's it right there.
Blast.
I'm not gonna lie. I remember when I saw you guys, and he was just like, the only thing he kept saying was just like, you really fucked up by missing my Ageout. He just kept looking at me. He's like, I can't believe you really wanted to skip mine. I was just like, I am so sorry.
It's okay.
Oh man, but it was a blast getting to watch you guys. Oh yeah, and I'm just so glad that it was you two guys doing the solo and that you guys were together. Because I was just like, man, if I had it anyway and I'm not there, that's the way. That's the way right there, man. Those are the guys.
Like you've heard the phrase Ageout. We took that literally. We raged out.
That's what you got to do, man. You got to make it worth it. You
Yeah.
got to make it worth it, man. This has been incredible, by the way, just getting to have this conversation. But something I wanted, as we're kind of looking back through the career here, what's something you noticed about the activity that, changed from maybe your first year to that COVID year? Obviously, there's a lot of differences that, are not going to happen in a normal season that happened in that 2021 season. But maybe just some stuff that you saw. Maybe, what did you see that changed about the activity as you kept going through it?
I would say it's the people who are interested in drum corps. It's
Yeah.
like everyone gets in through high school, they get interested through high school and all that other stuff. But
Yeah.
we had a guy named Pablo Furukawa. If you see this, love you. He was a
Dude, shout out.
saxophone player, and he was playing trumpet, and he was great. He wanted to
Yeah.
work hard. Everyone wanted to work hard. We had another
Yeah.
dude who was a police officer training to be a firefighter and EMT, and he just
Damn.
he marched multiple years with, like, I think Spartans or some other open class corps. I can't remember, but yeah, no, he worked hard too.
Wow.
Like everyone just wanted to work hard. We had a lot of age outs, and
Yeah.
we just wanted to make it a great show,
Absolutely. What's some advice you could give to some young rookies that are coming up now in the game? Just some people who are coming up, maybe people who are watching this who haven't done it yet, who are interested, or maybe people who are still doing it, whatever. What's some advice that you could give?
I would say for my rookie people, do it. I understand that, yes, it is difficult now with financial situations. I understand, but drum corps are willing to work, especially Blue Knights. Blue Knights worked a lot. Like, I know plenty of people who didn't have the money, but they worked with them. But
Right.
don't ever doubt yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because I'll give you a little fact about me. I was the absolute last person in the trumpet line 2017 to get contracted. Last person. I went to
Damn.
5 callback camps in total, and I got contracted at the last one. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay?
Absolutely.
Be smart, have fun,
Yeah. I think
Like,
that's the most important part to anybody coming up is just like,
yeah.
take a deep breath. Take a deep breath in there. That's something I didn't do for like so long, is just to like take a breath.
And
Take a breath.
once you've made it to that core, whatever core it may be, whether it be Soundsport, open class, world class, you made it. Out of
Right.
however many people auditioned, I know for Blue Knights, trumpet spots alone, there were over 400 people, throughout the
Right.
years. The fact
Yeah.
that you made it means something. So own it
Right.
and stop feeling like an imposter. Because you're
Yeah,
not.
dude. No, big
You
time
know?
in 19 for me. For real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
No,
know that
absolutely.
feeling. You're not an
Yeah.
imposter. You're there for a reason.
No,
The staff chose you for a reason. Okay.
they wanted you, dude. Absolutely.
For
And I
my
would,
vets,
yeah, well, keep going.
for my vets, I would say be kind and teach kindly the younger people of what it means to
Yeah.
be in a drum corps.
Yep. I think something for me, I never had to fight for a why. And what I mean by that is like why I do this every single day. I felt like when I was actually marching, I never had to find that. I wake up every day and I knew exactly
Yeah.
why I was there. But especially when I took that break and then decided to come back, I
Mhm.
kept fighting for a why the whole time.
Mhm.
And it's just like, I don't think it's a bad thing though. But the thing is if you're ever in that moment and you've been doing the activity for a while, it's normal that you can get like stuck in that pattern and you're like, oh, this is boring. I already know what's coming up. If you are and you keep doing this activity and you do it for that 4 or 5 years, like, don't stop fighting for the why.
Mhm.
That's what I'm going to say on my end is
Oh,
don't
yeah.
stop fighting for that why for yourself, because I promise you're going to regret it if you stop fighting for that why.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Oh, yeah.
don't stop fighting for it. Find your why every single day. I had a very, very smart woman teach me that in 2018, Miss Lisa Tatum. Teach us to, find that why every single day. That will be why, you get up and continue to do what you do.
I was very fortunate to find that why very early on. There was a kid I met in 2017. I was the same age as him. And he was like, I don't know if I can do drum corps. I don't know if I can do this. And I said, how old do you think I am? He's like, I don't know, 20 something. I'm like, I'm 17. If I can do it at this age, you can do it, dude. That's the following year we went to that same school and his friends helped out with Blue Knight stuff. He came up to me and was like, "Hey, I'm going to Sonic. You want anything to drink?" I'm like, "What? Are you going for the whole section?" He's like, "No, just for you, dude." And that's when I realized that conversation I had with that kid in 2017, it changed him in a way, you know?
It affected
Yeah, it
him. It
affected him,
hit him.
and it's exactly what I want that activity to be, you know, the experience to be.
Absolutely.
Like, if you don't
Yeah.
see that reaction, it's there, regardless or
Yeah.
not. Like, kids will be influenced. Like, to my vets and rookies, kids will be influenced, and you have
Absolutely.
to set that great example, and that's what I
Absolutely.
hope for.
The people are watching, dude.
Mm-hmm.
The people are watching.
Always watching.
2 more questions here to round us out in
Okay.
this incredible episode. But what do you think about the state of drum corps right now?
I think that there are people in this activity who have been in this activity for a very long time that do not need to be in this activity anymore.
Mm.
There are some individuals, not all, there's some.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's one thing for the state of drum corps. I also worry about the activity because rising costs and all that stuff, you know,
Right.
it's going to be very difficult to spread our message of music to everyone, you know?
Right.
And I hope that some way or something will happen to where drum corps is not as expensive anymore and everyone can appreciate and get the experiences that I've had or we've had.
Absolutely. I'm really hoping that something can change over the next couple of years
Yep.
where one gets some more exposure for this activity and get it back to that level where it was getting recognized like nationally over the country.
On ESPN.
It was being televised on ESPN. I just mentioned this in the last episode, but I'm like, man, if we were on ESPN at some point, what are we can get back there. Come on now. We got way better media. We got way better talent. All of
Oh,
this
yeah.
stuff we've upgraded on our product. So we just have to work on the marketing and the promotion and everything else that comes with the stuff that some people are just like, man, I just do band. Well, we need to, if we want to survive, we're going to have to, we got to learn some new skills. We got to do some things out here.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest thing is I really don't want this to become a financial class activity where if you're only in a certain range or your parents only make this certain amount, then you can do it, whatever. Like,
because I didn't have money. Like how I made through consecutive years of drum corps, I have no clue.
I was very fortunate that, me and my brother both marched in 2016 and my parents tell us all the time, like we were super fortunate that we got to do that. I don't think I realized until I got older how fortunate I was to get to do that. Cause they were like, no, we literally ate hot dogs and hamburgers all summer. Like we put out everything so that you guys could go do that. Like that was all we had so that you can do that. And by the way, our 2 tuitions together are the cost of 1 tuition today. And that's just tuition fees. That's not
flight fees, camp,
food, whatever.
Food. Yeah.
2 of our tuitions for Boston and Oregon back in the day are 1 now. So if anyone doesn't see a problem with that.
Yeah. Shout out to all the DCI parents who deal with this. Like you're probably the biggest supporter of them all, truly. I cannot
shout out the parents, dude.
I cannot express my gratitude to my parents alone for putting me through DCI and college.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
And it's a two-way street. We had agreements and all that stuff, but still, shout out parents.
Shout out the parents, dude. But my last question here, I like to ask this question: what does drum corps mean to you?
To me, drum corps means that we're not band kids. We can be athletic and musical simultaneously. And the, I guess, influence on music, on just the music world alone, is something I truly live for. I ended up meeting Clay's sister, bus driver Clay from Brass Bus. I met his sister because of music. She works at Winters High School and Middle School with her husband, and it meant all the world to me just meeting them and making that connection. Drum corps will connect you in ways that you never thought possible. and
Absolutely.
it's something I would never trade for. You know,
Yeah.
it was just an amazing
Absolutely.
experience.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, there's a lot of people who can say they've been to Mercedes-Benz Dome, but how many got to be on the field? How many got to go
Yeah.
to the back alley into the private clubs? How many got
Yeah.
to perform in Lucas Oil Field? You know, just simple stuff
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
It's something amazing. You know, truly.
I don't think there's another activity or another, sport or whatever that could
There
kind of
isn't.
give you what drum corps could give you. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
all of the life lessons that you learn out of it, um, how to grow. I mean, I had to grow up at such a
Oh
young
my
age
gosh.
just to like hang
Yeah.
in this activity,
Oh yeah.
the people that you get to come across,
Oh yeah.
all different kinds of people. The fact that you still get to keep in touch with those people, like I literally was, I think I called Joey Teixeira, who's been on the podcast before, but
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it's as simple as like I haven't seen. I mean, I got to see Joey at Murfreesboro, but before that, I hadn't seen him since 2019 in person,
Hmm.
and when I came home after holidays and whatnot, and I come home from seeing my family, he's in Nashville because he was
Hmm.
here for New Year's, and he just so happened to be here, and he was like, "Yo, can you come snag?" And I was like, where? And like, boom, came over. He spends the night. Like, it's that simple. It's just like like wherever you are, if you ever travel, you go to places, and it's just like, oh my god, so and so's here. Boom, and
Hmm.
it's just that easy, and you can see them again, and it's like nothing changed. You just pick up and you just go. Like it wasn't even like it was like 3 years or whatever. It's just
Hmm.
like
Yep.
I think that's what's so cool about it because I remember like I hadn't seen Dylan in such a long time, and when I got to see him again, it was just like it's like nothing changed. Like
Yeah,
not even skipping a beat.
same for this instance right here. It's been since
Yeah,
2019 since I've seen you. Like we've Snapchatted because like
right.
throughout the years, but like this is the
Yeah,
first time since then that we've talked, just
yeah.
since then. It's crazy.
It's so funny. Literally, the first thing we were just like, God damn, how long has it been?
It's been a
It's
while.
been so long. But that's why I also love this thing right here, this little
Hmm.
podcast we have, because this, through this being able to connect with some old people connects you to other people who also reach out and they're just like, oh my God, I saw you. I miss, oh my God. And you're just like, yeah,
Yeah.
man. And I just think that's what's so cool because you hear at the end of seasons that it's just like, you might not see these people again. And to have that opportunity to get to see them and talk to them again and kind of reflect, but also hopefully with our stories, we get to, inspire the future,
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
all right. So with that, this has been episode 14 of the Meet the Bus podcast with my guy, Nick Martinez right here. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for coming on. This was incredible conversation. If we ever get the chance, got to do it again. Cause
Oh,
there's,
definitely.
I prepped so much
Definitely.
shit that we could just talk about shows for days.
Yeah.
So there's plenty
Down.
of stuff
I'm
I could
so
have
down.
talked about in here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you want to have me
So
on again, I'd be more than happy to.
absolutely, dude. I'm trying to do a whole like BK19, just whole big call right here.
Let's go.
Oh man, but
Uh,
yeah, man. With that, this has been episode 14. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for sticking around. It's gonna be a very fun 2024. The guests I got lined up for this year already lined up. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's coming. I hope we can keep building. I hope you guys enjoy these stories. Hope you guys enjoy everything. Don't forget, subscribe, comment down below, like the video. Go follow the Instagram, TikTok, all the good things. You know what to do. But with that, this has been episode 14 of the Meet the Best podcast, and we will see you next week.